And we're live.
And we're live. Welcome to Blocks and Frocks. And today we are delighted to have Bay Batner with us. We are Gillian Godsell and Lisa Gibbons presenting, and Bay is our guest. We're going to talk about Ukraine because it's important that we spread awareness of initiatives that are helping to support people on the ground. And we are doing whatever we can, trying to tell people about the good initiatives that have been set up by the NFT community. And I'll let Bay introduce what's happening. So can you tell us more about what's happening this week, Bay?
Yeah, since we last spoke, there's been a number of fundraising events and initiatives going on in the blockchain space. We had the big Andrew Wang auction on Friday, which was the auction, in the ETH space. They raised $1 million in 30 seconds.
Incredible.
That beats people, doesn't it? I mean, it puts it into perspective, It's like, wow.
Yeah, it's been incredible. It's been an incredible response. There's been the auction going on this week that we mentioned when we last spoke, from Dan Panil and an artist called Charisma. They are still there on the third day of that auction. So I think they've been listing, I think it's like 90 works a day right now on OpenSea through an arts platform there. They've been selling directly to mainly artists and ETH collectors. And last the figure, I think they had 16,000 coming from those sales, which is a real artists-led challenge that they've been going on. So it's been incredible. And we were talking, Gillian and I, earlier this morning about the amount of money that's been raised through crypto has now broken $40 million in total for Ukraine emergency effort.
It's incredible. And I did exactly what you said. So we were speaking last week about what was happening and supporting our Ukrainian artists. They're there, so you can support them. They're on OpenSea, they're on Foundation, they're on Tezos, they're on all the blockchains, they're there. So you had that list. And I went, after we got off our call, I went to that list and I just went and looked through their art, and it was just beautiful. There is some incredible artwork. There's some incredible photographers, like you were saying. The photography is amazing, and I bought 3 pieces actually. So I just was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to buy. What did you say last week, Gillian?
Clicktivism.
Clicktivism. Yeah.
Well, you're better than me because I don't know what I've done. I haven't got around to buy any, but I'm well done, because it is important to not just like.
It is, and like they thanked me afterwards, on their Twitter profile. But that wasn't the point. It was kind of, you felt like, okay, well, I'm directly helping, and I can, if they need something or they need an extra bit of cash to get transport somewhere, it's just anything we can do to help. And so many projects I've spoken to this week are impacted by this because they have people both in Ukraine and in Russia.
Yeah, we're in that situation. We have team members in both countries.
So that is incredible in itself. Technology doesn't have borders or geographic boundaries. We're building together. We're building a new technology together, or new innovations together. So I'm trying not to get emotional or political about it, but technology transcends geography. Would you say that? I don't know.
Absolutely. And we're finding now that our Russian artists want to contribute work. We've got a big exhibition coming up at the end of the month called Refuge, and we're going to be donating 100% of those sales and also the ongoing royalties, which is an important thing that all NFT platforms need to be considering right now, is when they're doing these fundraisers, that you have the first sale going into the Ukrainian emergency relief funds, and then you also need to have all those secondary royalties going into there as well. So people are having to have these conversations about where you mint the NFT, who then has access to these wallets, and how do you then look at the ongoing royalty payments? Because if an artist sells from their wallet, that first payment can be transparently tracked into the Ukrainian donation funds. But then all those ongoing royalties from secondary sales, it's going to become quite a big overhead for artists to actually have to manage. So anyway, platforms like ours are looking at the ways we can support that. And one of the ways we think is by centralizing it. So bringing in NFTs from different artists onto one collection, selling from that collection associated with one donation wallet address, and then all the ongoing royalties from secondary sales just automatically go for that address, which can then be linked to someone where we've chosen the Giving Blocks Ukraine Emergency Response Fund, so that we can just see that transaction history, and we don't really need to get involved. We can just automate those payments. So we've got this big exhibition coming up at the end of the month, and we have Russian artists saying we really want to donate, but we can't right now because of the situation in the country. Like, they, as Russian artists, are experiencing, it's this strange thing. We're in this huge global society right now, and still, as a Russian artist, I can't contribute to a project that I believe in because of the political situation in my country. It's extraordinary.
That's mad, isn't it? And I think, I mean, obviously the world stands with Ukraine. I mean, I think that is the case. Certainly the Western world stands with Ukraine. But I think you said at the very start of this call is that we all know Russians. We have Russians in our teams and our clients, because we live in this world where there are no borders. And our heart goes out to them, because certainly all the Russians that I know are just like painfully trying to say, this is hurting us. Now, obviously it's not as much. We're not trying to, but it's such a horrible situation where we're all technologists, we're all Web3 people. And yet some of us are behind, like the old-fashioned Iron Curtain almost. It's like it's going to go back to that. Oh, it's so frightening. But I do love, Bay, we were talking earlier, and we said about how it's the job of an artist to document the mood of a nation, to explain a narrative, all those things that the soft skills that artists do, and to look in our psyche and all the rest of it. But what's really interesting about this particular movement is that there's finance from artists who traditionally don't have access to finance. It's normally big corporations. Artists are making it happen. That's very powerful. That's a big well, benefits too soon because we're still in the middle of war, but it's a huge innovation and hope, I think.
And it's the again, going back to the Web3 thing, the power of the community. You know, the community rallying behind the artists and the platforms that are supporting the art, like Orca, and you know what you're doing with the exhibition. You can just drive momentum for really valuable causes, and really fast. You know, this is crazy that we were talking this time last week, Bay, about you know, something that was going to happen, and then all of a sudden, by 7 days later, there's nearly 40 million raised.
Exactly.
Amazing. The world is like, and that's it's positive in a really dark time, you know.
And we were talking too, I mean, we're all about the Web3, but even there's that phenomenon Web2 where people are buying. I saw first, what? You're booking a room in Kiev, you know, for the weekend. Are they making a mockery? What are they talking about? And then you realize using Web2 to give money, fiat money, directly to people who have Airbnbs across the city. And the person who spoke about it, I can't remember who it was, but they said they were talking to this person. It was a real person, so it wasn't a corporation, it was an individual. This man had refugees in his house. So when obviously he's not going to rent his room out in Kiev anytime soon, but it was just that he was so thankful that there was some money coming in because you know, the ATMs are closed. How do people work? I mean, how do we work in a world where our ATMs don't money doesn't come out, or you can't access and you can't pay for stuff? I'm not saying the problem, of course, is even if you've got crypto and you get onto your card, what shops are open. I mean, it's not a perfect solution, but at least maybe if you're leaving the country, or maybe if you're trying to buy, I don't know, it's just to have some money there. It's maybe more powerful.
Yeah.
And there's other things too. I mean, I know that I live in a village outside Dublin, well, 100 kilometers south, so it's very much a village. And I know that the big charities are asking for money because they don't want donations. But I know that in every village up and down the country, they're doing events, and there are convoys of lorries, I'm going to cry now, full of things that people are donating. It's a wonderful village, you know, it's sunshiny here. It's a little hilly place. It's very quiet. It's very calm, very boring, very beautiful. And yet at the weekend, there's another lorry going out from Tinnahealy, the next village over. And people are just streaming to bring things. And it's just, I don't know, it's very emotional.
It is. It's so emotional, and it's just so heart wrenching. Everything, like, it's hard to look at the news at the moment, because you feel helpless. But in what else you another thing you mentioned last week, Babe, was the way the movement that took place with Dan. Is it Dan Panel?
Yeah,
Am I
Dan
getting?
Penny.
Oh yeah. And who is he? Is he an artist? Is he a collector?
He's an artist and an organizer. I think he's a community manager for some crypto companies. Like he's just an artist and an organizer, which is fabulous. And Charisma, who's been working really closely with, is a crypto artist. He's a full-time crypto artist. And so those guys have just been leading this project. And yeah, I don't think they've slept in the last 3 days, leading these auctions, listing the auctions. They've been on Twitter Spaces throughout the day as well. They've been doing an amazing job.
They're doing amazing, and what you were saying last week about being chain agnostic, not for, I love that, because I don't think the technology is going to move into mass adoption unless we get away from just being so, oh, we're part of one community. No, bring it all together, bring all the artists together, you know and support them in whatever way you can, on whatever chain you have, or whatever wallet you have, or whatever crypto you
Whatever
have,
tokens you have,
whatever tokens you have.
Yeah.
I love the fact that these are artists that you've been championing and helping with, Bay, and the list of all their collection has been sold out, and there's beautiful art anyway. I mean, and if it was two stick men, I wouldn't care, right? But it's beautiful art, and their collection has been sold out. So that's so powerful. That's a real message that we stand with Ukraine. It's not just collectivism, as I say. It's so
Yeah.
powerful.
It's really interesting you brought up the chains as well, because it's something we've been looking at the last couple of days. As a BNB platform, we're kind of astonished that BNB is the 4th highest by volume cryptocurrency, and yet it is not ranking in the top 10 donations. And so for us as a BNB platform, we feel like we're coming from a country, because these blockchains are acting like countries now. You're either in ETH, you're in Tezos, you're in BNB, you're in USDT, and we're seeing these massive donations coming out of other chains. And we're like, BNB, like, where are we in this? So
Where are you?
Yeah, exactly. It really is important that we bring in all these different country communities, these communities that are aggregating around blockchains, and say, we have to represent those communities in this conversation as well.
Yes.
So we're trying to start this conversation right now with what we're doing, saying BNB has to be a major donor. We have to be seen as a big contributor to both the global economy and the fact that we have to respond to emergencies across the world. If not, each of these blockchains are going to get a different reputation, just like countries get a different reputation about their involvement within global politics and global finances. And so that's where we are right now. It's a fascinating landscape, but it means that every single blockchain needs to be seen to be doing their bit for these emergency fundraising initiatives.
Yes, all of them.
Yeah,
All of them.
everyone.
And another interesting thing was to avoid any dealings with technology. My parents don't do much on tech. They barely open the laptop. Well, my mom does, but my dad wouldn't be a fan. But he did want to buy the art, so I've sent him the art that I 5 or 6 or 10 pieces of art that I thought he would like. I said, you pick out 1 or 2 of them, and I'll try get one for you. And just so he felt that he was supporting, and he was giving, because he loved the idea of giving directly to the artist. Oftentimes with charities, a lot of charities do amazing work, but you don't see the tangible. It's not someone. Whereas I just find it fascinating with NFTs. You can see the person, that their collection, they created it, they're living in the Ukraine, they're trying to escape war. How that one person, and they might have had to leave their husband, and they might be on their way to Poland, and then you've just bought a piece of art that could help them and make them smile.
Yeah,
So I think it's powerful. It's powerful technology, Web3. That's what I think. you know.
Because you were saying, Bay and I were talking earlier too, as well. We were saying not necessarily connected to Ukraine and the war, but it was more about if you buy a piece of art from an artist, you may never meet the artist. You know, even if they're kind of local, you mightn't meet them. But if you buy a piece of art from, and it could be a very prominent artist, there's a connection. And you might talk that if that person is sociable. You mean they might you don't have to be sociable to be an artist, but that's a great connection that you have. And that all goes down to again what we're talking about boundaries not existing in Web3. That one of our clients was sort of saying, we're technologists. We want to safeguard the truth. We want to have verifiable data. We stand with Ukraine. We're technologists, and that's very powerful because it's saying, and it's all about being able to break down borders. You buy an NFT from an artist, you communicate with them, and how much joy there is. Everybody knows the Irish are very good at knowing everybody. So we know everybody, and I know your uncles and everybody. And knowing somebody makes it the ownership, if they're a piece of art, much more valuable. You know, if you didn't know Andy Warhol and you had a piece of his art, great. But if you knew him, and that's even more, or your uncle knew him or something, there was some tenuous link. So I think that's going to be very important going forward in this world, that the NFT and the artist and the connection with the fan base. And then I think also, I mean, what place DAOs? Are DAOs going to be very important here in the war and trying to cross communities?
There are two big DAOs in the space right now. There's Ukraine DAO and there's Endowment. And both of them are doing some really good fundraising efforts.
Mm-hmm.
I think DAO's an early stage technology right now in terms of community organizing. I think it works for things like this, where you've got to bring people together really quickly and create a sense of community around one project for a short period of time. The question about DAOs going forward is whether they can be used to run things like companies in the long term. And that's kind of where there's the question mark over them. But as a short way of bringing people together, allowing them to collaborate, I mean, straight out of software development, you know, you can bring people together around one thing you need to solve. Everyone contributes and everyone can be rewarded for that contribution. And that's the thing about DAOs, is they bring in that financial reward incentive without having a hierarchical company structure. So for something like a charity organization, it's amazing because you can contribute and you can see the contribution you're making to a project towards a good cause. As to whether we'll all be moving to DAOs in terms of our companies, not quite sure.
It can be, of course, obviously, like organization by committee can be like death by committee, you know, can be, it's not always the upside. But I do like the idea, the DAOs acting like pop-up shops almost, pop-up groups. And obviously constitutional DAO was very important when they're trying to raise the money to buy the US Constitution. Although, of course, because they did it on Ethereum, they were losing. There were lots of very small donations, like $200, and the gas fees and repaying them were wiping them out. It wasn't without, but it was still an amazing thing to do, because that's obviously a group of people coming together. Hadn't quite formulated what they would do with the Constitution if they got it, but it was important enough for them to contribute. But I think the thing that the Ukraine DAO and the DAO, what's the other one? DAO?
Endowment.
That's right.
Endowment.
Yeah, you need to move fast, because we're day 9. And then I keep on going back to the war. And it is a war. It's not an invasion. It's a war. Day 9 is, I don't know, some wars don't go on past. I mean, the thing is that Putin didn't think it would go past 72 hours. And it's just, you need to move fast because people need stuff now. Like, especially in some of the cities where they've no water, they've no electricity, they've no food. If you're an old person, you know, and you're stuck there, how do you manage? Yeah.
Well, I was watching the news, and it was there was 2 lovely ladies, Polish ladies in Limerick, and they were organising a lorry of supplies to go over, and they were in contact with friends in Poland who had informed them, baby supplies, that type of stuff. That's what they need, a lot of baby supplies and tangible products, you know, and medical supplies obviously as well. So. I
know it's in this day, 2022. How can this happen? How can this?
It's extraordinary. But I mean, one of the positives will be is that every single community connecting with those communities over there will continue that connection. Yes. And we saw that. Do you remember when Ceausescu fell in Romania? And that we had all these micro charities of the UK going over to help with the orphanages and the terrible situation of the education system. The hospitals were in a dire state after the fall of the communist regime in Romania. And that went on for literally decades after that
Mm-hmm.
initial crisis response. I'm from the north of England in a small community up north in Burnley, and we were like literally sending articulated lorries over to Romania for I think 10 years after that point of contact. Because once you connect these people and you connect the communities, like it's their family. You have
Yes.
that connection with someone and you want to continue with it. I think that's where crypto really interestingly comes in now, that we have, as you say, we've got these direct connections with people on the other side of really difficult circumstances. And that connection is not going to go in a week, a month, a year's time. It's going to continue because suddenly they're within our circle. And that's the NFT Twitter community. It really feels like that. We're communicating. I have a space tonight actually with
Oh,
artists about the future of NFTs. And we're from everywhere. Italy, I think we've got people from Portugal, we've got Africa, we've got the United States, but you're part of the same conversation. And literally now we're part of this conversation. We're having this Twitter space and we're all contributing as equal players within that. And that's we've changed that through Web3 technology.
Yes.
We can't put it back in the box. And it's really going to change the way that all of us now are having conversations about donation, about support with people that we are now within our community, not an external donation. Okay, we're going to give this amount to this charity in a place that we're never going to visit and we don't know anyone there. It's, I'm going to give this because she's there. I need to help her out. And I know that she would help me out in the same situation. And we have
Yes.
connections.
Yes, I love that. And it's still, for me, when I was looking through the list, because there were so many, and obviously I don't have. If I had the money, I'd buy them all, But there was so many. There was maybe 100 on the list that you gave me last week, Bea, and I just picked. I picked out. I was looking through all of them, but you do connect with the art, which is lovely. You still connect with the art. The ones that I did bid on that I had, and I connected with the art and I connected with the artist afterwards. So there, you still have that you know, that love for the art itself, the love for the visual. So that is important as well. And yeah, I'm just delighted that we're able to share the news about it. I'm not even doing much about it, but I'd like to be sharing. And can you tell us more about the exhibition, the upcoming exhibition as well, Babe, just so we know the date and where it's on?
Yeah, it's going to be the 31st of March. We are
Great.
building a space in Decentraland for the exhibition. So
Great.
it will be really beautiful as well as for a great cause. We're going 100% with the Giving Blocks Ukraine Emergency Response Fund. We've created the first address in BNB for that fund. Up till now, you could only give to that fund in ETH or ETH ecosystem tokens. So we've created this BNB address to be able to give to that fund. We're going to be promoting both the address and also the exhibition. And so if anyone's interested in invitation to the exhibition, in sharing the address, that's all going to be through our Twitter page over the next, hopefully, few hours and days coming up.
Have you selected all your artists?
We have 3 amazing curators. So we have the King of Midtown, who is a New York NFT gallery founder and curator. We have OMS, who is one of the big NFT collectors right now. His collection, he has, Josie Bellini, he's got Jose Delbo, he's got Rob Ness, he's got all the big names in crypto within OMS's collection. And we've also just got G Blists, who is a Mexican art advisor, collector. He's working with some of the top crypto artists right now as well. So they've come on board as curators and they're going to be helping us put the show together. Great. Submitting works are going to be artists registered as verified artists on the Orica platform. So we can make sure that we are supporting great artists at the same time as having the show. And so if anyone is interested in working with us as an artist, they kind of need to get in touch now, and then we can tell them about the submission process as well.
Great.
That's amazing.
I can't wait to go. Are we invited?
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I have to get my new wearables.
No, we're going to have an opening, so you can wear your wearables for the opening. I don't know if we're going to put a red carpet down, but we are having an opening. It will be at 9 p.m. CET on the 31st. So I think that's 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Yeah.
Great.
Excellent. So just before we finish then, I just say, can you tell us again, if people want to support the artists, because this is where we're focused more on the art. I mean, there's Ukraine donation wallets set up. If you go to the main Twitter Ukraine accounts, you can see them. But for the art, if they want to go directly to the artists, where can they find that Google Docs, or could we post it on our
For
Twitter
someone with an entry budget, so if you're looking to get started in crypto, then I would go for Tezos platform, because they are doing some amazing work, putting some lists together right now. You can see their first artists as you go into Tezos, they are all Ukrainian artists right now.
Great.
So everyone that they're promoting is a Ukrainian artist. If you go to their community managers, I think she's more than that, I would say community directors Twitter feed. She's called Cabline1, so that's CABLINE1 as a number. She's curating that platform. She's doing an amazing job. So the platform is being curated with a Ukrainian artist, and she's also sharing all the Ukrainian artists on Tezos right now. And Tezos editions, they start at €1. So even if you have just €5 you can put in a crypto wallet right now to support Ukrainian artists. Tezos gives you hundreds of different options. It's doing some really great work. Then if you have a bigger budget and you want to buy things like one-on-ones, obviously come to Refuge. We're going to have some of the big artists selling the one-on-ones for the Giving Blocks Ukraine Donation Fund. And also have a look at the auction that's going on right now with Dan Paniel, and they have some of the big crypto artists selling works around sort of 0.1 to 1 ETH. So that's probably about 250 to 1,000 euros, dollars equivalent. So yeah, there's a whole spectrum of things that you can start working with.
Wow, it's so exciting. I mean, I've gone from, we were crying, I think, in the middle of this podcast, and I feel more jolly now, I feel more hopeful. The sun's just come out here. So thank you again so much for your help, Bay. We'll share Twitter afterwards. We'll put all the links up. And Godspeed, everybody. And please God, we'll get a happy conclusion sooner rather than later. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, me. And thank you, Bay. Thank you very much. Thank you for people
watching. Thank you for having me again.
Thank you.